In this class, we will learn about the symbol brushes. So we will open up the symbol palette and create a scene with some very powerful graphic brushes. File new, that's what I hit. I'm at 11 by 8.5. I'm going to change it into RGB color because maybe I'm going to want to do some effects or something. 5 artboards, I'm just going to hit create. But again, more settings gets you to a really nice menu here, which I like, and I like 4-inch spacing. Create. Okay, so I have my usual palettes up, my layers, swatches, stroke, color palettes, my usual tools up here. I will go Window, Symbols. So I click on Window, Symbols. Okay, I have another class of using this palette, so we are back here again. And then I am going to click on my screen and I will go into my symbol sprayer tool area. I don't know what yours is like. So mine says symbol sprayer, and I'm going to pull to the right. I will release the mouse and do my tear off. So these are the two areas you want to be in. I'm going to have my fill in front, right, rather than the stroke, because maybe because usually you actually change a fill more than the stroke, but who knows. So I'm just going to put a color in there. I click on the 4 lines here in the upper corner of the symbol palette. I could go to Window, Symbol Libraries also. I never do it this way, but some people really like menus, so maybe you do. But I'm clicking up here. I will go into Open Symbol Library, so I have a vast array of different really cool symbols. Symbol Library is of course good for graphics, posters, creating fabrics, wallpaper, whatever you're trying to do, any kinds of designs. It's also a great area to learn how to draw. So I'm going to click on flowers. Feel free to click on whatever you want. Some are good, some are bad. And I am going to just randomly click on different symbols. All right, so I'm going to click on, maybe I'll click on some flowers over here. So I clicked on whatever I wanted to. I'm going to go back. I'll close this out. I like to put the folder in with the symbol palette. One day when I open up a new file, this flower folder will maintain. It still probably disappears. So anyway, I'm in my main symbol palette, symbol library. You can save your symbol library if you want. You can open up a symbol library, going to Open Symbol Library, Other Library, and just find your folder. Okay, I am now going to click on, maybe I'll click on Nature. All right, so I'll click on some grass. I'm going to pull it out of my main palette, and I will click on just different objects. Okay, so I have opened up my nature palette. Make sure you're not looking at your flower palette here, your folder here. Make sure you're clicking on symbols, because I'm clicking on the different objects and I am entering them into my main symbol palette. Okay, so click on whatever you want. I will now close out my nature palette so I don't get confused. Maybe I'll click on the flowers and close them out just because I want to. I will click on my artboard palette or hit Command plus and get close to one of your screens, one of your artboards. But I will click on my artboard palette and do it the fancy way. So if I double click in this blank area here, now I am on artboard 1. If I hit tab, I can hide and show my palettes so you can see where I am. I am clicking on my symbols and I will drag maybe some grass out. Notice I'm on layer 1, so maybe I'm creating some backgrounds or something. I will just click and drag all these symbols out. Okay, there are no anchor boxes, so they're very efficient with memory. If I want to turn one of these symbols into Illustrator artwork, you click on break symbol link. So now it's Illustrator, and I can manipulate it like an Illustrator object. However, I'm going to click on this and click on new symbol. I'll click OK. Movie clip is fine. Normally you would change it to graphic, but I'll just click OK. So now it's back to a symbol. I can change the sizes of these symbols. I can do whatever I want. All right, so I have pulled my symbols out. I can change the size. Just click on them, hold down Shift, pull from the corner if that's what you want to do. All right, it's always very flexible. I'm hitting Command plus so I can get really close to these things. I will click on my artboards, the two collapse area, so I make it small again. That's why it's nice to have a big screen. Maybe I'll click on the butterfly first. All right, so I will click across these objects. I've selected the butterfly. This is symbol sprayer. If I double click on the tool, I can get to options. As most tools, here's intensity at the very top, density, so just play around with those. My diameter, very important. Maybe I'll just make it smaller, so my brush will be 1.78, even though it really doesn't matter. If I want to play with down where it says scrunch, size, spin, you can do that, but that's really the same thing as these icons above the top here. So I'm going to be clicking on these either through here or the main palette. But I'm just going to click OK. So you can see that I can click on the object or click wherever I want or click and drag, and I can make the objects duplicate. So it's really great. You can create a really elaborate scene or a fabric with this tool. I'll click on the flower. I will double click on the tool because I feel like it. Maybe I'll change it to 0.78. Not exactly sure why 0.78. I'm surprised it doesn't say diameter 1 or something, but maybe it relates to something else. But I'll just click OK. My flower selected. I just click and drag, and voila. I will hit Command minus a couple times, space bar with my left hand to move my palette around, or click on the hand tool over here. Wow, look how big that brush is right now. That's funny. I'll double click on the tool. For some reason, it went to 13.87. I'm surprised I don't have a default icon to click on to reset this, so that's kind of funny. But 2.87 is the default. All right, I'm leaving everything alone. So that's how you duplicate it. Now I'm going to click on the next one. The next icon is symbol shifter. I click on this. My flowers are selected, so I can kind of shift these around. Keep in mind, you can also use the main Illustrator tools like the direct selection tool or the black arrow to also edit this, particularly the black arrow, because you just select it and you can just rotate it, or use the 3D tools, which I teach in another class. So check out that video. Again, I'm back to the shifter. All right, so the object has to be selected. I can move it around. Now, and of course, if I double click on it, I get options. I'm going to leave these alone, but you can play around with intensity and symbol set density. If you increase it, it's more intense. Diameter. Okay, so again, I'm shifting it around. I will click on symbol scruncher. So now these flowers are selected. Click and it scrunches them. Okay, maybe I'll click on the butterflies. Clicking back on scruncher so I can make them smaller this way. So what's ever under the brush gets smaller. All right, that's the important part. So I'm selecting these arbitrarily. All right, I'll just click across the next one, symbol sprayer. All right, so whatever's underneath my brush, I can change. All right, of course, double clicking and changing any options. You can also, as I said before, click across here if you want to go into other tools that way. I am just doing it over here. All right, symbol spinner. All right, so maybe I want to spin these things. All right, so these are all very fun tools. You can create elaborate scenes with trees. You can draw your own symbols. So you create a symbol in your on your artboard, drag it into your symbol, turn it into a symbol. I teach that in my symbol videos. All right, I will continue to click across. Symbol stainer is a fun one. Notice I have a blue stroke. I have my stroke in front, made it blue. And it's saying that's no good. Select a fill color, which is fine. I click on my arrow here to reverse my color. Maybe I do it that way. Click on your butterflies, whatever it is, And you can see how it's a lot of fun. You just click around, make it very colorful. I'll go back to my flowers. So I will put a color in my fill, see if there's any problem with both colors being filled in. See, I have a color in my stroke also. Maybe I'll make it black to see if I get any different changes. And again, the flowers are selected. That's why when I click on the bug, nothing happens because it's not selected. I'll go back into my butterflies. I'm back on symbol stainer. So you change your fill color, but you might want to play around with the stroke because it might possibly, I'm going to make my stroke really thick, like 5. All right, now I click on it and I hit Command plus, and I really don't see anything happening with the stroke, but anyway, so it's mainly the fill. But you never know, as they increase their versions, as they keep updating, something could change. All right, symbol screener is really cool. Again, double click to change your brush sizes. Spacebar with my left hand to move this around. The butterflies are selected, but I can make them transparent. So that's a really nice little thing. Okay, I will go into my white arrow, click away, deselect. I will click on a butterfly. You can see they all move together. I will click on my white arrow plus tool, group selection tool, click away, deselect. So you can see that I cannot ungroup them. I'm hitting exit isolation mode. That happens when you double click or if you isolate your group. If I hit Command K and go to preferences, I want to make sure double click to isolate's not on, just a note. I covered that on my intro class. So anyway, the main point is that's a symbol screener, and then you have symbol styler where I click on an object, and if I go to my window and graphic palette, graphic styles palette, all right, I select my butterfly. I will drag the object on top of my symbol so I can put these kind of borders around it so you can get very decorative with it. I'm just clicking on different symbols. Again, the butterflies were selected. You have to hope you have a good graphic card. You see how mine's spinning. So this can be heavy on that. So I'm just dragging different symbols on it. So you might not use that last tool often. I mean, you never know. And I do have a video on graphic styles, so I'll cover that right here. So it's Open Graphic Style Library. So it's the same thing as we did with Symbol Palette, but Open Graphic Library. I'll click on Buttons and Rollovers. In this case, I will click on an object and create an object. I went to my Oval tool. I'll put a fill color in. I'll put a stroke color in. I will drag one of these buttons and rollovers on top of my selected object, and you can see you can do stuff like that. So that's the graphic palette. I can drag the object into my symbols. I'm not animating anything, that's a different class, but I'll click on graphic, even though it really doesn't matter. I don't really have to change this. Dynamic symbol means I'm going to do stuff really in animation to make it do dynamic things, effects and things like that. I'll click on static symbol, even though this doesn't matter, but I added my object into here. So now I click on it. So there's my object. So I'm developing a library. I'll select my original object. I'll drag another symbol onto it. So it does that. Drag another symbol onto it. So that kind of got rid of it. So what you see is what you get. So I'm just dragging different symbols on it. Really great for graphic arts and also creating fabrics and all kinds of things. I'm going to remember to go to my graphic style palette, all right, and go to my library that way because the other way it won't work. I can click on textures. So I'm just double clicking on different textures that I'll go right immediately into my palette. You can see I'm affecting it this way. So It's a huge library. You can go back and forth between your symbol and graphic palette. I'm going to click on my symbol here and go back to my tool here, the last tool, symbol stylers, because I have a symbol selected. And then I can add different styles on top of it and just see what happens. So you can experiment with this. I'll drag a fish on this. So I dragged a fish out. I'll click on one of my symbols, drag it on top, and add a border to that. So the graphic style palette and the symbol palette, fun to create scenes, fabrics, whatever you want to do, because you can always drag a symbol into your swatch palette. Now this one's kind of an awkward symbol, right? But it's in my swatch palette. My fill is in front, and I click on it, so it's a repeating pattern. So you can create all kinds of different effects with the symbol and graphic palette, very creative stuff, and then drag it into your swatch palette to create repeating patterns. So it's really fun stuff. I can put a stroke on it if that's what I want to do. Right, so now I have a stroke on it. Maybe I'll make the stroke thick for no apparent reason. I'm just doing it. Okay, so it's kind of like how I review just different stuff. And of course I can change my size of my pattern with my black arrow and do whatever I want. All right, so that's a good idea of how to work with the symbol palette. I do have a separate video on drawing with the symbol palette because it's also an excellent palette for learning how to draw. All right, so creating scenes, drawing stuff, creating logos. It's really a great little palette. Thank you. Bye-bye.